Hey y'all, Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. This video is in response to Tactical Redneck. Love that name. Anyway, he had a bunch of pig issues and we're going to help out today as best we can. Folks, if you have any issues concerning things that you want to see addressed, we can possibly make a video talking about that or finding ways, or at least the ways in which we go about fixing whatever problems or issues we've had with that. So don't be afraid to reach out to us if you want to see something covered. Today we're going to be addressing how to solve a lot of pig problems, y'all. So you might want to stick around for that. But before we get into it, folks, anybody that wants to support us or what we do, check out the links down below, or even go to our website and check that out. All right, with that said, let's get into it. All right, y'all, if you want to see the issues that my man Tactical over at Tactical Redneck was discussing, check out the video. We'll leave a link there. Okay, first thing we're going to cover is, look, first of all, y'all, a lot of people are shocked when they see about the places we run pigs. Do you get a sense of just how steep this is? In fact, I'm going to run up here. Hopefully I don't break a hip on the way, and I'm going to demonstrate the first thing we're going to discuss. Now, that first thing being debris in your fence, okay? Now, if you have permanent paddocks, there's no way you're going to be able to do what I'm going to do right here. And this is where, at least in this environment, even the netting, because we have it and it's very ubiquitous for us because we do already have it, it's what we use. But I would strongly suggest to anybody dealing with extreme terrain like this, you might want to consider the way Joel Salatin does it for a whole variety of reasons that I'll get to here in a minute. Number one, cleaning out your fence is going to be real easy. But we're hoping that it doesn't get to the point where they're stacking up a bunch of stuff in the netting. Now, when you have posts that are buried in the ground, you're going to have inherent problems, especially if you have welded wire or woven wire or anything around there. They're always going to be pushing. Pigs are smart, just like Tactical says in his video. They're always going to be looking for a way out. But in this environment, as you can see, there's a lot of debris. I mean, it's what it is. There was thickets, there were thorns, still tons of multi-floor rows. There's also a lot of Chinese silvergrass on the edges of this place. We're going to discuss all that also. But let me just kind of get a running start here. Please don't fall, Billy. Please don't fall. I'm going to show you how we deal with the debris in the fence. Now, keep in mind, also, this fence is still hot. So let me just go ahead and post up here. All right, there you go. Some of them cat-like reflexes. Now, this fence is hot. Now, it doesn't always make sense to try to do this with the fence off. Let's see if William busts his butt on the way up. But whenever you're in an environment like this, folks, and here's a real good example of it, the pigs are always going to be pushing stuff into this. So it is of profound value that you got to walk this fence, I think, just about every day in an environment like this. I would have done better, actually, to throw that out, but I didn't want to knock my son in the head. But you're going to have to go around this thing. Things like this, you're going to want to get out of there. Now, this fence is hot. It's got about 8,000 volts on it, which is important. But there's times where they're going to push stuff up against there, and here's how I deal with it. Grab a hold of it where it's not charged, shake it off, and stick it right back in. You want to make sure you're not getting into them hot wires. Now look at this. Here they are. Ain't that right, pig? You being cool? You being cool? All right. So every single day, sometimes twice a day, we have 300-foot nets on this thing. And even every single day, every morning, I go around this when I feed them, and I make absolutely sure that there's no major things laying up in this fence. Because I guarantee you, folks, over here is a prime example. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but there's a log back there. They will all get together, and they will sling that thing into your fence. So every single day, if you have a log in there, make sure it's not going to run into your fence, or situate it in the point to where they're stacked up 3 high. Who knew? Anyway, that's how we deal with a lot of these issues in an environment like this, y'all. They're always going to be pushing stuff downhill, so keep an eye out for it. All right, y'all, next thing is these pigs want to root and get out. Well, I can guarantee you, just based on where they are right now and a number of other factors, that I'm telling you what, you can see right behind me where they've worked. This is overlaid to the previous paddock that they were. Now, you can see a distinct difference from where they are to where they're going to go. If that turns into a mud pit to any great degree, there's still quite a bit back here they haven't worked. But if it gets to the point where they're saying, you know what, tastes great but less filling, trust me, I don't care how many bolts you got on that fence, they will get out. So you want to kind of circumvent that. You want to get to the point where you move it before they feel the impetus that they just have to get out. And there's a way we go about doing that. So this net is going to constantly, if you kind of look down here, this is the area they've already been through. We went through and did our earthworks. We even covered that the other day. Now, they're going to keep running this pattern. Basically, where they are, they're going to go all the way down, hit the end, come all the way up. They're going to zigzag all the way to the top of the mountain. Now, we have guinea hogs on that end that are working about the same elevation. There's a big method in the madness to all this, but the point being is that as soon as they get to the point where we feel like it's played out, then we go ahead and move the fence and we overlap it. This is very critical in the way we do it. Because of how we do it, we don't have permanent paddocks set up. We don't have areas where, like Joel Salatin, where they're already set up, ready to rock and roll, and then you can have a gate, whether makeshift or legit gate otherwise. We don't have the benefit of doing that. Because once these pigs go through here, and this makes the transition from thicket to food forest or orchard, these pigs can't come back in here. So we can't set up permanent paddocks, and a lot of others can't either. So what we do, we'll basically take our bucket to the end of here. When we're ready to move them, we will have already ran our, it could be a chainsaw, it could be a weed eater, it could be a scythe, it could be any number of things. We will have already set up an area where we're going to run our net in the future. So what's going to happen, and it's really this simple, and we're going to feed them right there as far as we can, okay? And prior to that, we're going to make sure they're very hungry. So the night before, maybe we don't feed them as much. So we want them to be hungry. We don't want their attention focused anywhere else but on the food we give them. So bam, I'll drop a fair amount of food, and then we'll just move the fence around them. We'll gather it up on the back side, turn that fence around, and then stretch it out to the new area. Bam, it's a wrap. It's really that simple. So we don't have the benefit of having makeshift paddocks. So basically, we reform the paddock around them. So if this is the area they're using, we'll take half of it and then move it again. Half again, move it again. You dig? All the way through the landscape, and it works well for us. It has worked very, very well for us. So that's what we're going to continue to do all the way around here. But it is critical that you move it before they want to get out. Now, in other areas, let's say we use all food scraps when we feed our animals, at least our omnivores. So it's different for us. But if you're like most people and you're using a dispenser of some type, well, that's going to be your barometer, just like Joel Salatin does. They know when to move their pigs based on how much feed is left in that feeder. Because once they wipe out the feeder, it's time to move them. We got it differently that way. So it requires a little bit of practice. You see, okay, did they tear up enough? How much do they have left? It's probably time to move them. That's how we judge everything, okay? All right, another issue. You can't give them too big an area. And that applies to all animals, folks. Whether it's your cows out there, your sheep, your chickens, it doesn't matter. If you give them too big an area, they're only going to favor the areas where they have things that they really, 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 really love. So if you give them too wide an area, you're going to have patches like my man Tactical did in the video, where they're going to not want to touch it for whatever reason, and then there'll be other areas that they just continue to work over. Now, there is that happy medium where if you leave them long enough, they create just enough disturbance to create really good things that follow them. But if you leave them too long, you're going to wind up with a bunch of thickets. Okay, it's basically overgrazing. You want disturbance, but you don't want to get to the point where you're bringing back things you really don't want. You don't want those unfriendly weed regimes, remember? But now, in those areas where there are things that they don't necessarily want to mess with, well, you can use the pigness of the pig, just like I'm going to show you right now. In this bucket, I got a little bit of rice. Pigs have already been fed. But over here, you see all this stuff right here, y'all? That's Chinese silvergrass. It's ugly, it's nasty, it's thickety, and somebody's about to get Kentucky fried. So, all I'll do, when they're mobbed up like this, and let's say they're really hungry, they're going to kind of mob you. So I'm just going to kind of get their attention. Look at that. See that? Go on over there, pig. And now I'm going to put this on something I really want them to mess up. See that clump of silvergrass? Yeah. It can be silvergrass. It can be any number of things, y'all. They will destroy, and I mean utterly destroy, anything you want gone. See that? It's raining pigs, it's raining. Raining rice. So they love it over there. They're engaging in the pigness of the pig, but especially if it's something like rice or even corn, rice is better, I think, because they will go after every little bit. And I guarantee you by close of business, that silvergrass won't be there. So every day I go up in here and I'll dump this stuff in the areas that I really, really, really want them to hit. Otherwise, if you give them this one's about to get lit up. If you give them too big an area, they're only going to hit the places they like. And like I said, that applies to all animals. Next thing is, in tactical, he did a really, really cool way. You could tell he was a former soldier or Marine. Regarding the shelter. Only criticism I would offer there, and it's not bad, is that I would lower it. You want it low enough to where it will maintain a little bit of heat underneath there. They'll be more attracted to it. Also, you don't want it so high. He did his more like an A-frame, which is honestly the best way of going about doing it. In fact, in some of these areas, I'm going to get rid of this sail and put up more of a tarp type structure. Ain't that right, pig? This one here is here to give me an amen. Well, keep it low. See how tall he is? You want to keep it kind of low. Ain't that right, pig? All right, I had to jump on this side because they were being a little bit too friendly. They were mobbing me, and I couldn't talk and listen to their, carrying on at the same time. Okay, just briefly, this wasn't anything he addressed, but I'm going to go ahead and hit it. When it comes to water, especially in the winter, you're going to have to come up with some, especially in an environment like this, you're going to have to come up with some different ways of going about it. And I haven't found a better way of doing this right now. Now, what we do, and this won't work for everybody in terms of pigs. What we have is basically a bucket like this that's buried in the ground. And then I come out. Last night it was in the teens. I'll come out and I'll just fill it up a little bit. Now, as you can see on here, this one was left out, sitting about right here. There's still ice in there, you dig? Now, I can bust it out, and that's exactly the way we go about it right now. I like it in the ground for two reasons. It ain't gonna work you're gonna have a variety of pig that will root that up and knock it over. It ain't gonna work. We found other ways of doing it too, but we'll discuss that in the future. I guess you needed some too, milk boy. Anyway, this is how they go about it. So far, they don't disturb it. They don't knock it over. Depending on your breed of pig, it's worked well with us, from guinea hogs to red wattles, obviously Yorkshires. They all seem to know that bucket is not something to mess with. So it works well for now, but it's not a permanent solution, but we'll find one in the future. Now, folks, what's also critical is that the ground temperature kept that from freezing last night. Last night, it was in the teens. It was cold. And as you can see, there was plenty of ice on top of this one, but that one did not freeze at all. Plus, the intermittent disturbance that the pigs do probably helped that from happening as well. So that's one way we manage the freezing, but there's no getting around toting the water. Or we could stretch out a hose, but then you got frozen lines too. So there's a number of ways you can go about this. We haven't exactly come up with the best one that works for us, but that's the one we use right now. Okay, another thing my man Tactical discussed were these rock shelves. Now, they want to take the pigs from where they are and eventually run them up in the mountains the way we do. Now, see this right here? That's a rock. There are many like it, but that one is mine. Anyway, all through the top of this mountain are rock outcroppings everywhere, shelves of rock, you name it. So this is critical. Obviously, in a perfect world, we would love to have nice square or rectangle paddocks. But folks, I honestly cannot think of the last time in this environment we were ever able to do that. So I guess what I'm saying is let your paddock be determined by the topography instead of your geometry. There's a big difference there. Yeah, it'd be a whole lot easier to go ahead and make things into nice, cool rectangles and squares, but in this environment, that ain't ever gonna work out. So if you have an outcropping here, there are times this thing is going to look in the most weird pattern. The bigger thing is getting them on good, solid ground, at least getting these posts, whether you're using it, is to get them in good ground, either above or below the outcropping. Now, the pigs, they'll expose everything around those rocks. You just give them a little bit of time. But it is important that, once again, don't let your geometry or your sense of geometry, these paddocks don't have to be perfect. They just have to move. They need newer ground. And if you overlap it the way we do, where we'll feed them at the end, give them a little more ground, it gives you time to go up through there and think about exactly how you want to put that paddock before they ever get to the new area. All right, now think about this, y'all. There's soil in most cases either above or below the outcropping. So whatever crazy shape you got to make with that fence, that's what you do. Now, in the future, we're going to hopefully do other videos where we show you, we've already done it up to this point. They've worked their way through here. They gotten, I mean, you can't really tell it right now. You're thinking, well, did pigs really go through there? Yes, they did. They did a magnificent job. Now it's up to us to take that chainsaw and knock out some of that multiflora rose you see behind me. Also take out a lot of the other thicket that they didn't get. Or they cleared it off, they stripped it off, and now it's up to us to take care of the rest of it. Now from this point on, they're gonna keep on going, and we'll pick it up because folks, there's a lot that we can do and discuss regarding pigs. But it's not difficult, it's not hard, and a lot of people are freaked out by pigs. So this video was not only to address the issue from Tactical, but also to address all those people out there that hit us up in emails and in comments down below where you're asking, hey, and I sense there's a lot of people thinking that, man, this is like too big an animal. I don't know if I can do it. Believe me, at the end of the day, pigs are easier to manage in many ways than chickens. And we're going to probably over a series of videos try to explain and chronicle just why I'm making a statement like that. All right, y'all. That's enough to digest, I think, for right now. We'll go ahead and see if anybody else has any other questions down below. If there's other videos and things that you're having trouble with that maybe we can address, maybe we'll cover those too. We don't often really do that enough because this is, at the end of the day, this isn't an entertainment YouTube channel. This is a teaching YouTube channel. And we're hoping in these times that these videos bless you. And if we're not covering things that you need covered, maybe reach out to us and we'll cover that in the future. All right, y'all. Once again, remember, check out the website. You want to support us, look down below. Till next time, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. We'll see y'all next time.